till yesterday's class, we finished the various concepts and on IDE, right? We have covered the various concepts on Selenium IDE, and we have seen how we are gonna use the Selenium IDE using a different ways like implementation of a if condition, capturing of a screenshot, and all those stuff we discussed till yesterday's class. And in the today's class, I would like to explain you about the Selenium RC related stuff. Okay, from the today's class onwards, probably today and tomorrow, we are gonna discuss about a Selenium RC. Okay, introduction to Selenium RC. See, in this RC, we are gonna just see few basic commands only. How the Selenium RC is going to work, what is the architecture for Selenium RC, those basic commands only we are gonna discuss in our further classes. Okay, so before that, let's see why we are going for Selenium RC. The first point is using Selenium IDE. In order to implement the if conditions, we need to add some user extension file, and the logic derived using that user extension file is a bit trickier, right? The logic derived from the user extension file is a bit trickier. We need to follow that and we need to write the programs. Instead of doing that, whenever we are going for an RC, it is having an option like multiple programming languages supports and multiple browser support too. So with which, if at all we are familiarized with any one of the programming languages, we can write down the Selenium code. Among all the programming languages, we are choosing Java as our programming language. So even in our demo class, we have seen why we are going for specifically a Java programming language. We have already covered that. Okay, so we are going for a Java programming language. So in order to work on Selenium RC and the WebDriver, we need to know basics on Java. Okay, basics on Java concepts is required for us to work on both RC and a WebDriver. So this is the basic point, and later moving further, what is the configuration required for RC then? We need to know about the setup required for Selenium RC, or else the configuration required for Selenium RC. Okay, so the first one is we are choosing Java as our programming language. Usually developers are using Eclipse editor to write down their code in Java programming language. Hence, we are choosing the same editor. Okay, we are choosing the same editor to write down our programs, our Selenium programs. In order to write down our Selenium programs, even we are choosing Eclipse editor. Using the Eclipse editor, we can write down programs in in various programming languages. But in order to write down our Java programs, we are choosing Eclipse as an editor. What exactly an editor means? See the best example. I can write some information either on a Word document or else on an Excel file, Notepad, text document, CSV file. Anywhere I can write down some text over there. But here I am choosing a Word document to write some information. Okay, here I am just choosing a Word document to write some information. The same way here, we need to choose an appropriate editor to write down our source code. One among those editors is an Eclipse editor. In the Eclipse editor, we are gonna write down our Selenium Java programs. That's the first configuration. And the second configuration part required. And for this one, we need to download this. We need to download the editor. Okay, that's fine. We need to download the editor. And the second step is, if you remember, the basic differences between Selenium RC and a WebDriver comes with Selenium Server. So here I need to add Selenium Server jar file. So we'll tell you what exactly the jar file is in the next point. But right now we need to add a Selenium Server jar file. It acts like a mediator between programming language and the browser. It acts like a mediator between the programming language and the browser, which is a Selenium server. And later, in order to communicate the Selenium and as well as the Java programming language, we are using Selenium Java client drivers. This is also a jar file. And later, the next jar file required is a JXL jar file to support data driven testing. It means retrieving the information from an Excel file. In order to retrieve some information from an Excel file, we are going for this data driven testing. And the last jar file required is a JUnit jar file, which is used to write down the JUnit test cases. Okay, so we will be seeing why we are using this JUnit in a further topics, but as of now we need all these four different jar files and one editor to work on this Selenium RC. This is the basic configuration required for us to work on RC. That's fine. So let's see the downloading part. Okay, let's see the downloading part. How we are gonna download that one means, just open a Firefox browser and navigate to a Google home page. Navigate to a Google home page wherein which I am entering Eclipse Editor free downloads. Eclipse Editor free download, and from that click on Eclipse download, the first link, which will be navigating to Eclipse downloads page, from where download Eclipse IDE for Java developers, which is a 64-bit. I just downloaded that. Once it was downloaded, we can check out over here under these softwares. Whenever the Eclipse got downloaded, by default it will download as a zip file. Okay, by default it will download as a zip file. We need to extract the content. So how can we extract that? Right click, extract to Eclipse folder. So the fourth option which we need to select. So automatically a new folder like this will be created, and if you navigate it to that folder, it contains an Eclipse with a globe icon. Okay, an Eclipse with a globe icon. That's fine. We have just navigated up to here. So it means we have downloaded the first configuration, which is Eclipse Editor, as a zip folder, and we extracted that. And the next one is a Selenium server jar file. So Selenium, in the Google enter Selenium server jar file. Okay, Selenium server jar file. From the search results, click on the first link, which will be navigated to Selenium official website downloads page. In the starting of the page itself, Selenium server standalone, or else the Selenium standalone server, and the latest version is a 2.48.2. Click on that. A pop-up will display, wherein which if you clearly observe the extension, it's gonna download as a jar file only. Okay, it's gonna download as a jar file. Click on OK, or else a save file. Automatically this file is gonna download as a jar file. See, I'm just trying to save this one, so it's gonna save it in my downloads folder. So it is taking some time to download this info. Let it download. Okay, and later within the same page we can download, see here, Selenium client and a WebDriver language bindings. Here as I am choosing a Java programming language, I need to select a download file relevant to this one. So click on this download. Whenever you clicked on this download, again if you observe, it's gonna download as a zip file. Okay, as it is gonna download as a zip file, we need to extract the content from the folder. Okay, save it to. So it's gonna download these two jar files. Let's see whether this one got downloaded or not. Let me navigate to my downloads folder once and check out. See, the Selenium server is still downloading and this file is also still downloading. Both are downloading. Okay, let's wait for that. And later, once these two files were done, now JUnit free download. From the search results, click on a first link which will be navigated to JUnit jar file page, wherein which click on download a JUnit 4.10.jar. Whenever you clicked on that, it's gonna download the JUnit as a simple jar file. Okay, it's gonna download JUnit as a simple jar file. Later, I am entering JXL free downloads. Okay, later I am downloading JXL free downloads. It's a JXL free download. From the search results, click on a first link which will be navigated to JXL downloads a page. If you scroll down this page to the bottom, you can find a save option. See here, jxl.jar.zip. So it's gonna download the JXL jar file again as a zip file. See here, it's gonna download the jar file as a zip file. Okay, it means we need to extract this content too. That's fine. So this is the way how can we download these files. Okay, this is the way how can we download this particular files. That's fine. So we have seen how to download this particular files. The basic setup, we got it now. The next step what we need to do means, what are all the jar files we have downloaded. From those jar files, simply save only jar files, not the Eclipse editor. Simply save only jar files in a folder, in a new folder, and name that folder as a library. And name that particular folder as a library. Just name it as a library, and whatever the files you have downloaded, just copy those files and paste it in that folder location. So it is stating that the download was a complete. See here, the Selenium server 4.2.48.2. Copy this version. See here, copy this jar file. I have already created a library folder in my D drive. See here, my library folder was here with the name in my D drive. Navigate to that folder and place your server here. The same way, the Selenium Java client drivers got downloaded as a zip file. Right click, extract. Go to the fourth option. It's gonna extract that content. Okay, and from where, let's check out that folder. See here, Selenium Java 2.48.2, under which it contains a subfolder. Directly copy this 2.48.2 folder and place it in our library folder. Done. And the next point, what exactly we need to do, we have downloaded a JUnit and a JXL also. So JUnit. This JUnit got downloaded as a direct jar file, right? So search for JUnit jar file here in the downloads folder and simply copy that JUnit jar file from here and paste it in the library folder. I have already downloaded and I placed it here. That's why I'm not placing this jar file again. And after that, we have a downloaded a JXL file, which is a zip file. After extraction of the zip file, this is how it looks like. Internally, it contains only one jar file. Copy this JXL jar file and place it in a library folder. So far what we did means we downloaded the required setup and we placed all the jar files in a single common folder with a name as a library, except the Eclipse editor. See, I'm not placing my Eclipse editor in this location. So you can use the Eclipse editor in a different location. Okay. In my machine, I kept it under the softwares folder. Under the softwares, I kept Eclipse editor over here. That's completely up to your wish. Where you can specify, you can save that Eclipse editor over there. That's fine. We are done with the configuration part. And now, in order to work on this particular stuff means, first of all, we need to open the editor. Okay, we need to open the Eclipse editor. In order to open the Eclipse editor, first of all, we need to cross check whether Java was already installed in our machine or not. Okay, we need to cross check whether Java was already installed in our machine or not. Okay, so in order to install or else in order to open this Eclipse editor, we need to check whether Java was already installed or not. How can I check that? Open the command prompt and simply enter Java over there and click on a enter button. When you perform an enter operation, if Java is not recognized as an internal or external command, message got displayed means Java was not yet installed. We need to install Java in our machine. If it displays some information like this, the version information and all those things with which we can confirm that Java was successfully installed. So if Java was not installed, we need to download a JDK and we need to install that. Let me show you how can we download that. See, go over here, JDK free downloads. And then see here, go to the downloads page. From here, click on accept and download the JDK version, which is an executable file. Install that. Okay, once after successful installation, we need to set path in the environmental variables. The path means we need to set the Java folder location over here in the environmental variables. So how can we do that means, right click on a my computers, go to properties and then advanced system settings. From where, go to environmental variables and from here we need to go for a path and an edit. Okay, path and an edit. After that, we need to get the Java folder location, where in which, see here, this is the folder location. In your programming files under Java, JDK is there. Till bin, copy the value and paste it out over here and click on OK. After that, restart your machine. So this is the step how to install Java and how to set up the environmental variables in our machine. Okay, so these are all the steps how to install Java and how to set up this configuration in our machine. That's fine. Done up to here. Done up to here. Am I clear for everybody so far, or do you people have any questions for me till now? That's fine. See, I'm just updating these running notes too after the downloads. That's fine. Done up to here. I hope I'm clear for everybody. Cool. Lata, Priyanka, Amar, is this clear for you all guys? Raju, fine. Done up to here. So once we are done up to here, let's try to open our Eclipse editor. So in order to open our Eclipse editor, Go to the folder, navigate to the Eclipse. It contains an Eclipse globe icon. Simply double click on that. It will open the Eclipse editor, wherein which it is asking us to select a workspace. So what exactly the workspace means? Eclipse will store your project in the folder location, which we can call it as a workspace. So here in the workspace means we need to select a folder where in which you would like to save all your projects and source codes, whatever you are writing in an Eclipse editor. Click on a OK button. So Eclipse editor is going to launch. Before that, if you remember here, I just forgot one point to explain over here, which is a jar file. What exactly a jar file is, right? We need to know about a jar file is. See, the simple point is I have a written 1,000 lines of a code. I would like to share this code to someone of my friends who is gonna work on this one. I would like to share this code. So that would be a bit difficult for me to share all these 1,000 lines of a code. What I can do means I can simply convert my code into a file which is a jar file, and I can share my code so that anyone who is having this jar file, they can simply access the logic whatever I have defined in my program. Whatever I have defined in my program, anyone with this jar file can access the code, and they can simply use that particular information. For that particular reason, we are using this jar files. Okay, that's fine, guys. So this is about a jar file, and now we just open the Eclipse editor. Okay, once after we open the Eclipse editor, this is how, excuse me. Once after we open this Eclipse editor, this is how it will looks like. So our objective is we need to work on Selenium with the Java. Hence, I need to create a Java project in my Eclipse editor. So go to File, go to New, Java Projects, and for few people here the Java project it won't display. In those cases, go for Others. Under the New, go for Others, and then search for Java. And here you can get a Java project. Click on a Next. I am naming my project as Priyanka. Okay, that's completely up to your wish. Usually we will be creating our project name as our, okay, what exactly a project on which you are working. Assume that I'm gonna work on a Google application. I can name it as a Google. Okay, so click on a Next. And before going to that, if you observe over here in the left hand side where I have a highlighted, there are no folders with a name as a Priyanka. So when I click on a next button over here, see if you observe, Priyanka folder got added now. Click on a finish. Just go over there, and beside the Priyanka you can find an expand button. Just click on expand. If you observe, whenever you have created a Java project in an Eclipse editor, by default my Eclipse is populating two different folders. One is an SRC and another one is a JRE system library. One is an SRC and another one is a JRE system library. SRC and then JRE system library. So if you observe this JRE system library, it contains the various kinds of jar files. Okay, it contains the various kinds of jar files related to Java. Okay, it contains the various kinds of jar files related to Java. Okay, it contains the various kinds of jar files related to Java. How come I know these files are from Java folder itself? See here, the location it is displaying for the jar file. See, programming files from the Java folder. Okay, programming files 86 Java folder. From the Java folder only it's been getting these files. And moving on to the another package or else another folder which is an SRC, in which we are gonna write down our source code. Whatever the programs we are gonna write down, we are gonna write down all of our programs in the SRC folder itself. Okay, under the SRC folder itself, we are gonna write down our Java programs over here. That's fine. Okay, that's fine, guys. Done up to here. So the point is basically here we need to create a package under the SRC, and we need to write down our programs under a package. Okay, we need to write down our programs under a package. So what exactly a package means? So generally a package is a reference type. Okay, so generally a package is a group of related types. Okay, a package is a group of classes or group of interfaces. Okay, within a package we can create a multiple classes or else a multiple interfaces. It's a simple folder location where in which we are gonna save our scripts. Okay, generally these packages are used in Java in order to prevent the naming conflict and to control the access of any classes. Okay, in order to control the access of any classes and in order to prevent the naming conflict, we are going for these packages. See here, first of all, let me go to the project folder location. In my D drive, my workspace is Teja. Under the Teja, I have created a project with a name as a Priyanka. Under the Priyanka, we have an SRC. See, under the SRC, it doesn't contains any folders now. To my Eclipse editor, under the SRC to this project, whenever I have created a package, name it as a web1. If you cross check this SRC, a subfolder got created. So it means what it is gonna happen means a package is a folder location where in which we are gonna save all of our classes or else all of our interfaces we are gonna save in this particular location. Okay, that's fine. Right now, so far we have seen about the configuration part required for Selenium RC and the project creation in Eclipse Editor and the package creation in Eclipse Editor. And then the next point, what exactly we need to do. Before working on an Eclipse Editor, first of all, we need to know about a Java programming language here. Okay, we need to know about the Java. Okay, so for next few minutes, let's see about a Java over here. Generally, Java is a programming language and a platform too. Okay, programming language and a platform too. Okay, generally Java is a programming language and a platform too. Immediately a simple question will rise in our mind, what is a platform then? Right, we need to know about what is a platform. We know about a programming language and what is a platform. Any hardware or software environment in which a program runs is known as a platform. Any hardware or a software environment in which a program runs, which we can call it as a platform. Since Java is having its own runtime environment, which we can call it as a Java as a platform. Okay, that's fine. And one more point over here is any programming language which supports object oriented programming concepts, which we can call that particular programming language as an object oriented programming language. Okay, any language which supports OOPS concepts, which we can call it as an object oriented programming language. Okay, so what exactly the OOPS concepts means? OOPS concepts is a methodology that simplifies the software development and maintenance by providing some rules. Okay, OOPS concepts is a methodology that simplifies the software development and maintenance by just providing some rules. Okay, by just providing some rules. Okay, which we can call it as a OOPS concept. This object oriented programming language, it supports the various concepts like object, class, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation. So these are all the various kinds of OOPS concepts we have right now. From this list, we are gonna see what is an object, what is a class, why we are going for these objects and a class. Okay, what is a class or what is an object and why we are going for a class and an object. Generally, a class is a collection of properties and behaviors. So the properties means we can call them as a variables, and a behaviors means we can call it as a methods. Okay, properties means it's a variables, and a behaviors means it's a method. Okay, so properties means it's a variables and a behavior means it's a method. Okay, that's fine. So what exactly a variable means, what exactly a method means, and what is an object. Okay, object means it is a physical as well as a logical entity, whereas a class is a logical entity. What does it mean? Let me give you a small example for this one. The best example for this one is application form, which is an exam application form. For suppose this form is common for all the students who are studying in the college. This form is common for the persons who are studying in the entire college. Okay, if there are 1,000 persons are there in the college, this form is common for all the 1,000 persons, which we can call it as a class. Whereas if Ramya fill the form with her information, then we can call it as an object, as that form contains only her information. Okay, only that form contains the Ramya information, hence we can call it as an object for that particular class. Okay, so this is the best example for this thing. Okay, class is a logical entity, whereas object is a physical or a real entity. Okay, physical or else a real entity. That's fine. So before that, here I have a defined about a variables and a methods. We need to know about what is a variable and what is a method. Prior that, we need to know what is a data type. Generally, data type will specify you what type of a data it is. So let me give you an example. Int. Integer is a data type which will accept only the numerics. Okay, integer is a data type which will accept only the numerics like 0, 1, some other value, some other value. So integer is a data type which is used to hold the numerics. Whereas moving on to a float, which is a another data type which is accepted to, which is used to accept a decimal values like that. in order to accept a decimal values, we are just going for a float. And then character, which is used to accept a single character, and that character need to be specified within the single quotes. Okay, a character need to be specified in a single quotes. And a boolean is a data type which is used to hold either true or false values. Boolean is a data type which is used to just hold either true or a false values. Generally, we are using this Boolean most frequently to verify some conditions. And later, string, which will be represented in double quotes, where in which group of characters will be specified within these double quotes, which we can call it as a string. If a group of characters were specified within these double quotes, we can call it as a string. That's fine. And what is a variable means? Generally, it is a memory location where in which we can save a value. Okay, a memory location where in which we can save a value. In Java, we need to define a variable like int a is equal to 5. The meaning of this one is store a value of 5 into a variable a which is of integer data type. Okay, which is of an integer data type. We are just storing a value of a 5 into a variable, and the data type of that particular one is an integer. In future, whenever I would like to use a 5, then I can simply call the variable name, so that we can access the value present in the variable. Okay, so that we can access the value present in that particular variable. That's fine, guys. Done up to here. So the another point over here is a variable is a memory location which we are using to store a value over there. So what is a method then? Why we are going for methods? Let me give you a small example for these methods. Assume that we are developers and we need to write a program for creating a user. The steps in order to create a user are: we need to log in, create the user, and then we can log out from the application. The another task is we need to edit the user. Again, the steps are login, edit, and a logout. And another task is we need to delete the user. Here again the steps are login, delete the user, and a logout. If you clearly observe the three different tasks, the steps of whatever we are performing is login and a logout is common over here. Right? The login and a logout actions is common over here. That's the reason. For these login and a logout, if you clearly observe, we are writing the code for multiple times. For the login and a logout, we are writing the code for multiple times, which is not required. Using a method, I can write my code once. Okay, see here. Using a method, I can write my code once and I can call that code any number of times. Okay, here in Java programming language, everything, whatever the task you would like to perform, we need to write down that class, we need to write down that action under a class itself. So it means we need to create a class, and then within the class itself we need to write down the information. For suppose, let me show you a small example here. The example is class. I am giving my class name as registration. I am giving my class name as a registration, and here in which I am defining a method as a login. It contains some statements. Login contains a statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. I have defined a couple of statements. And in the logout is another method which we are creating, wherein which we are defining another statement here. If you clearly observe the login and a logout, these two methods are defined under the class registration. Registration is my class name, where in which I have created a method a login and a method a logout. And here I am creating another class which is fill the form. This is my class name. In order to fill the form, first of all, we need to log into the application. In order to log in into the application, as we have already written the code for login into the app in the registration class, I need to call the method defined over there over here. Simply if I can call a statement like call the method login from the class registration. Okay, from the class registration. So what it means, we are asking our Java program to call this method from there to here. Okay, so but my Eclipse editor doesn't recognize that. It don't know what exactly the command or else what exactly the statement we have passed. So we need to write down a statement which was understandable by my Java or else by my Eclipse editor. So the simple point here is in order to access the methods defined in one class into another class, okay, in order to define the methods or else in order to access the methods defined in a one class in an another class, we need to create an object to the class which contains methods in the class where we need to use them. See here, try to observe this statement. So in my class fill the form, I need to use the login method which was created under the registration class. If I would like to use that, I need to create an object to registration class under the fill form class. That's the point over here. Okay, that's the conclusion point. So why we are creating an object means, with the help of an object, when we created an object to a class, with the help of the object, we can access all the methods, variables defined in that particular class. First, suppose in my registration, I have defined a couple of methods, right? If I create an object to registration in the fill form, using that object, we can access the methods present in that class. See, registration. The syntax for creating an object is class name space obj name is equal to new class name is the syntax of which we need to follow. Class name space obj name is equal to new class name is the syntax of which we need to follow in order to create an object. Okay, that's fine. Fine. So over here, what exactly I need to do means, okay, so what exactly I need to do here, this is my registration class. So copy the registration space obj name. This object name is up to my wish. I can give either obj name or else a Ravi or else a Pawan, whatever it might be. For an instance, I am just giving it as an obj name and then new registration. So what it will happen, an instance got created to the registration class and stored it in a obj name. So from now on, in the fill form, if I would like to use any information present in a registration class, I can call obj name dot login. Simply I can get the login method from the registration class. The reason is this obj name we have created for the registration class itself. We can use that particular methods over here. Am I clear for everybody so far, or do you people have any questions for me till now? Is this point clear for everybody, guys? Cool. So just add your inputs in a chat window, guys. Just add your inputs in a chat window. Okay. In the meantime, I'm just updating the running notes. Okay. Fine. Hope it's clear for you all. Cool. Done. So now what I am doing means go to your Eclipse editor. Let's create a class now. In order to create a class, right click on a package. Yes, of course, we do have, but we will be discussing, okay, but we will be discussing in a further topics, okay, how to create an object and all those things we will be discussing in a further topics, okay, that's fine. Can you please repeat the last part? Yeah, sure, I will repeat that. See, the last statement which I have conveyed over here is about an object creation. See, ultimately what I did over here, in my fill form class, my intention is to use the login method which I have created under a registration class. It's not possible for me to directly call that information. In order to call that information means for sure we need to create an object. In order to create an object to any class means the syntax is class name space obj name is equal to class name. When we need to create an object, in order to access the methods defined in one class, here one class is a registration. Okay, into another class we need to use this object creation, and this is the syntax. So my class is a registration class of which contains a method, and I have created an object, and using this object, if suppose as of now we have defined only two methods, right? Roughly there are 20 methods defined in the registration class. With this obj name dot, I can access all the methods defined over there. I can access all the methods defined over there. Okay, that's fine. Let me come back here, right click on a package. We have created a web1 package. So right click on a web1 package, go to new and select the class, wherein which I am naming my class as RC1, or else not RC1. I am naming my class as a Java 1. Okay, and here on the start I'm just giving as a lowercase. I have given my name as a lowercase and I clicked on a finish. Okay, but one small thumb rule which we need to remember for creating a Java classes is whenever you are creating a Java class, we need to start with an uppercase itself. The name should start with an uppercase. Hence I just changed it to Java 1. Okay, the naming conventions we need to follow in Java. The first rule which we need to follow is whenever we are creating a class, the class must start with an uppercase itself. And now right click, go for run as. See here, right click, place your cursor on a run as. If you observe the options, run on server, run as configurations. By looking into these two, we can understand that it's not allowing us to run this class. Fine. Let me create another class. I am naming my class as a registration, wherein which I am just selecting a checkbox which is a public static void main and click on a finish button. The difference between these two classes is Java 1 doesn't contains a main method, Java 2 contains a main method. Now right click, run as. If you observe, Java application is displaying. So one point we need to add over here is, in any programming language, our execution will start from a main method. If a class doesn't contain a main method means it's not possible for us to run that particular class. That's the reason for the Java 1, it's not allowing us to run the class. And even in order to add a comments in Selenium IDE, we used a insert comment command yesterday. Whereas in order to add the comments, a single line, if I would like to make a single line as a comment, I can use a two slashes over here, which is a single line comment. So it means it won't execute that. For our understanding only, we are using that. In order to add a multiple line comment, star slash followed by this, so that all the lines are within these two. Okay, if I can write something like this in a multiple lines, all the lines within these two will be in a commented mode itself, which we can call it as a multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. We can comment the multiple lines using this syntax. If I would like to comment a single line, I can go for this particular stuff. Now here, I would like to create a method for login. So I am defining as public void login. Guys, just forgot about what is a public and what is a void for now. Okay, we are gonna see what is a public and what is a void in our next class. Okay, we are gonna see the public and a void in our next class. And now here, system.out.println, this is login method. In Selenium IDE, we used the echo command to print a message to our log. In order to print a message to our Eclipse console, we are going for system.out.print commands. And now, in the registration class, I would like to use the methods present in a Java 1 class. So, Java 1 space obj name is equal to new Java 1. I have created an object now. Now, obj name dot, as of now, if you observe here at the two words right hand, it contains an object, but here it contains a Java 1. Login void Java 1. So the void would be a return type. So what exactly a return type we are going to discuss further. But here it is getting the information from Java 1 class and with a semicolon. Okay, whatever the program might be, we need to end with a semicolon. Whatever the command might be in Java, in an editor, we need to end with a semicolon. I'm just ending that. Now, right click, run as a Java application. The content got executed here. And right now, I am adding another method, which is public void logout system.out.println. This is a logout. As we have already created an object, if I can go for obj name dot logout is getting displayed for me. If I can add n methods, all those methods will reflect over here. So this is the way. Even I can use the variables whatever we have defined over there. Okay, this is the way how can we access the methods defined in a one class into another class. Am I clear for everybody so far, or do you people have any specific questions for me? Fine guys. So Suman and Amar, Bhaskar, Deepti, Lata. Am I clear for you all so far? Usha, done. Done up to here. So